Welcome to Let's Talk About It, where the world listens in. It's also your place where your opinion matters.
Yes, welcome to Let's Talk About It, where the world truly listens in. This is your reality program. Hi, I'm David Spencer, your host, and my co-host, Sheila Clement. Today we're going to talk about what is it like to bring up a child today and what it's like for us when we were children. So, Sheila, we had started this conversation earlier when we realized that we were not recording. Oops. Oops, there we go. A good rehearsal. So, Let's see how much you remember.
Okay.
What was it like for you growing up?
Well, I was a spoiled brat. I was the youngest girl, or I am the youngest girl of 6 children. So I have 3 sisters older than me, and a younger brother and an older brother. And we were in the Air Force, but I was the baby girl. So I got away with everything.
Did that transcend into an adult?
It did.
Where you still want to get everything you're supposed to get?
Absolutely. But you temper it. You learn to temper it as an adult. I have something that says brat's keys as a reminder that I am a brat. But I did learn that everything I really want, I have to work for. Everything I need, I rely on God and my husband. So that I learned.
The God part.
Yes.
I don't mean to sound like that, but the God part, When did the religious part of you come into play? Was that coming up as a child?
We were exposed to various religions growing up.
Uh-huh.
Yes. My parents couldn't decide which one they liked, I guess.
Oh.
And so we were exposed to Pentecostal, Southern Baptist, what else? Mormon, Jehovah's Witnesses. I think that was it. I don't remember all the rest of them.
That can confuse you a little bit.
It was a little confusing, and, I sort of decided, okay, I'm not going to do anything religious-wise. I'm not going to church. Because everybody seemed fake to me.
Yeah.
But as life happened, there was a calling. At some point, I just sort of felt like I need to read the Bible. So I just started picking up my Bible and reading it every night. And started looking for a church. Found a church. And as I found a church, I also began dating who's now my husband. And then he was looking for a spiritual grounding. He wanted to make sure he was good with God and had a good relationship with God. And I distinctly remember him saying, okay, I don't want our relationship to move too fast because I want to make sure my spiritual foundation is solid first. And he said, that's probably sounding kind of corny. And I said, actually, no, it doesn't. So I think that was probably part of the bridge to us having a strong relationship, because to me, that did not sound corny. To him, he thought it might, but he didn't care, which I was like, okay. Well, then let's build our spiritual foundation. And I actually do quite a bit of having a solid spiritual foundation to him, because he was the one that helped me go, okay, churches aren't phony always. There are some where the people come across as phony. But if you really start reading the Bible and start relying on what it says and start trusting God, then you start to understand people go through things. And sometimes your life changes because he's challenging you. Or it changes. Like I always said I wasn't going to have children, and I have 2. So apparently that was not my choice. It was God said, "Oh no, you get 2."
So growing up in the military lifestyle, exposed to all kinds of cultural differences as well as religious differences, and none of this is really confused to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, this. But you settled on what?
Yeah, I settled on being a Baptist. Okay. Yes.
So, going back to you being spoiled, did that transcend to some of your two
my children?
offspring? Yes.
Yes. To some extent.
Do you spoil them?
Yes.
Okay.
But not ridiculously, so that they don't have an entitlement attitude. They know that occasionally, if they want something, they ask for it. It's reasonable, and they've earned it.
Okay.
We do give it to them. We don't, like now they're adults, so they're out on their own. And they don't call us and say, Mom, I need money constantly or anything. And they usually don't call even if they're strapped. So we will call them and say, hey, how you doing? How's it going? But we raise them with, occasionally you want to go, if we go out, we'll get you something to eat while we're out. You don't have to make your lunch and take it with you, you know. So we kind of spoiled them Christmas time, maybe if they had a list of, we started out with Christmas time was if they had a list of things that they wanted, they could make as long a list as they wanted. They were getting 3, 3 things off that list. They didn't know what 3. And so we kept them from feeling like at Christmas, I get a bunch of stuff. No, Christmas was not about that, but we included the presents as a part of it for them so that they weren't left out. But excuse me, even in the Bible, Jesus got gifts at his birth. So since Christmas is the celebration of his birth, they got gifts. Okay. But they did not have, so many things under the tree that they couldn't even list it.
What about you when you were growing up? Did you have a list?
I agree. We were not allowed to make a list.
Okay.
My parents were, I'll get you what I want to get you and you'll like it kind of thing. So
that's how you come up with the idea of, when I had kids, which you didn't plan on.
Right.
This is how it's going to be done.
Yes, and my husband had a little issue with that because they always had a lot of stuff under the tree. And I said, okay, well, let's give them what we're going to give them. And then your parents, I'm sure, will give them things. And your cousins and aunts and uncles, I'm sure, will give them things. And they'll end up with a lot. It'll be a lot. Promise. Right. And it turned out to be so.
So you divorced the reasoning?
For that, yes.
Okay.
Many other things, not so much. But for that, yes.
Okay. All right. So now we know what it was like for you coming up as a child, especially as a military brat.
Yes.
Do you think that's pretty much different than someone who don't have that experience of multicultural experiences?
Oh, yes.
And would you weigh one against the other?
So as a person who's traveled and been exposed to different cultures and different locations, you learn to adapt quicker, and you are more open, and you are less judgmental, I think, of people that have differences. So you see somebody different, you're like, okay, because you're the different person too, usually where you go. So you're hoping to be accepted, so you're a little more open to accepting people that are different as well.
Well, so what do you think it takes today to raise a child? I mean, we know how it was when we grew up.
I'm glad I'm not raising mine now.
Yeah. So, each generation is different.
Kids today are exposed to so much more than we were exposed to. Everything is so desensitized. When we were growing up, you didn't see people actually having sex on TV. You barely saw them kiss.
Yes.
And if it was a kiss, it was a soft kiss. It was never an intimate, full passion kiss. And you didn't see them, barely saw them in bed. Like, married couples on TV didn't even sleep together most of the time.
They had separate beds. They're black and white movies. I remember that.
Yes. I mean, you didn't actually see a person get shot on TV. TV at 8 o'clock at night changed for adults versus TV now at whatever time of day you can see anything.
Overexposure, you're saying?
Overexposure. And then they're not sensitive to those things. So... And the language is different now. Foul language is so pervasive now. It's horrible. It hurts my ears. My children were raised, they cannot use foul language, and they are not allowed to associate with people who use foul language, which was growing up in school. Coming up through the school, that taught them to be very careful on who they associated with.
Well, one of my sons asked me interesting question on that same line.
What?
He said, Dad, I need some advice on my next relationship. And I said, I'm flattered that you're even asking me, And he said, so what advice would you give me? I said, well, if you find someone that curses more than you, stay away from that one. Stay away from that one.
When the alarms and the bells are going off, don't ignore them.
Yeah.
Because your intuition is there for a reason. It's telling you, walk away. Yeah. Walk away.
Yeah. So, I hope he takes heed to that.
Oh my gosh. There are books out there.
So, do you believe in whippings as a form of behavioral learning, as I call it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That crap about that's abuse is just crap.
Yeah. I mean, a kid now today, though, will pick up the phone, 911. I just got my butt beat.
It's so funny. my father-in-law said to me one day, and this was probably 15 years ago. He said, "What would you do if your your son picks up the phone and calls 911 because you spanked him?" I said, "I'm gonna beat the crap out of him with the phone so they have a reason to take me away." Because
that's funny.
You're the parent.
Yeah.
If the child isn't doing what they're supposed to do, there's some sort of discipline that should take place. There has to be consequences. If there's not consequences, that's why they're out acting up. That's why they're doing all kinds of things. And then the parents run to their defense, and then it doesn't prepare them for the real world.
Yeah.
Because in the real world, there are consequences.
Oh.
You go out, you try to find a job. If you don't perform properly or you don't do what you're supposed to do on the job, you lose that job.
Yep.
Get over it.
Yep.
Then do what you're supposed to do. Follow the rules, because guess what? The rules do apply to everyone. And
definitely.
Occasionally there are rules that, you get older and you realize sometimes some people get away with things that shouldn't get away with, but that's life. It happens.
Well, I know. I heard one lady, she told the cops, she said, "Well, you take him and you raise him then."
Hello. I scared my children straight. My kids, I didn't have any problem out of my children because they decided they wanted to do something they were supposed to do, and they got their discipline.
Well, if there was a right method of chastising, other than whippings, is there?
There's other things. I mean, because especially as they get older, spanking them does nothing.
Right.
They're like, yeah, next, what else?
Yeah.
So it just depends. You do something that they don't want to do, or you give them some chore that they hate to do. Like my daughter hated wearing dresses. I made her wear a dress for a week. As a discipline.
Okay.
My son loved to play on his little, at the time, was it one of those little handheld play things. So we took it away from him for a week.
And sometimes I could, not in your situation, but I know in another situation where this young boy, he had done something, and his mother made him put a dress on and walk out in public.
Oh. Wonder what that was, though. You kind of have to wonder what it was.
What that was.
That's equivalent
but that
to
traumatized
him
from that time to adulthood.
Well, see, it depends on what it was that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be a little dramatic, but
yes.
And that might have been progressive discipline, so there might have been other things leading up to that too. So she might have told him she was going to do that, and he didn't believe her. Like I told my kids, if they got in trouble in school, I said, if you get in trouble in school, I'm going to come dressed like I look when I just wash my hair and it's all blow dried and sticking out. I look like a lion. And I'm going to put on great big red lips. And I'm going to put on really bright blue eyeshadow, very heavy. And I'm going to wear your father's clothes. My husband is 6'4", and I'm only 5'4", so imagine that. And his boots. And I'm going to come to school and I'm going to walk into your class and I'm going to go, "Hey, where my baby at?" And my children said, "Mom, please, you wouldn't." I said, "Get in trouble in school and just allow me to come in and embarrass you because I will embarrass you."
Don't dare me, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Because at some point, embarrassment is the worst. It's better than spanking.
Yeah, because you don't want to look bad in front of your peers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because that peer pressure is something else.
Live that down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: should mothers discipline just daughters, or fathers discipline just the sons?
No,
okay.
No, because then it seems unfair to the kid, to the child. Because what happens if the son is with the mother and something happens that the child should be disciplined for? You wait until you take him home to the dad? I mean, no. It should be, but it should be consistent. So if somebody cheats on a test in school, whether it's the daughter or the son, the discipline should be the same.
Right. Okay. Because I remember when I was growing up, my mother told my stepdad, "Don't you lay a hand on him."
Oh no!
I couldn't understand what she was talking about until I got to be older, right?
Right.
I said, "Well, okay, well, I'm safe there."
There you go. And see, that's also the bad side of it, because then you know what you can get away with.
But one time, he was in the military, right? Those big army belts.
Oh yes. One
time he swung at me, and that thing had so much power behind it, it just knocked me on my butt anyway. He didn't even hit me. He just swung it at me, right? I said, "Well, I ain't messing with him."
Yeah, there you go. That's enough. Put a healthy fear into you. That's what's necessary.
Oh, well, let me see. Okay, now, what are some of the core principles that should be taught a child, and how soon?
From day one.
Well, You mean while they're still sucking on the nipple?
While they're still sucking on their bottle.
Oh my gosh.
No, as soon as, like, from the time children are walking and talking, or even starting to grow and learn as they get older, even as babies, they can